If you've ever felt guilty about not doing enough as a creator or creative, then this video is for you. Maybe you've just finished work and finally have time to work on content, but you're absolutely drained. So you start wondering if you're just lazy or if you should be trying harder, and suddenly, even rest stops feeling like rest. But studies actually show that working more doesn't always lead to better productivity. In fact, for many neurodivergent creators, pushing harder often makes things worse. Because for neurodivergent creators, simply resting isn't always enough. Guilt follows you into that rest. You compare yourself to creators who seem to be performing better than you, posting more, growing faster, and suddenly, resting becomes its own kind of work. Creators exist in an environment where it always feels like you should be working on something. You're told to just be consistent and work harder, and when you physically can't, you start thinking you're the problem. I used to experience this constantly. I'd sit down to relax after a long day and immediately start thinking about videos I should be editing or ideas I should be working on, and somehow I'd end up feeling guilty for resting and too exhausted to work. But for neurodivergent creators, working harder often makes things worse and makes it even harder to rest because our brains simply work differently. So in this video, I'm going to explain how you can actually become more productive while getting the rest your brain needs. If you're new here, I'm Tori, a Notion expert and VTuber manager who has helped dozens of creators build systems that prevent burnout and allow them to work sustainably. In this video, we'll look at the scientific link between rest and productivity, and I'll show you 3 techniques that can help you finally achieve guilt-free rest. One interesting study conducted by sleep researcher Sarah Mednick looked at how napping affects perception and memory. Participants were given a visual perception task and were then divided into 3 groups. One group didn't nap at all. The other 2 groups took naps, one for 60 minutes and one for 90 minutes. Later that evening, they tested everyone again on the same task. The results were fascinating. The people who napped performed just as well, and in some cases, even better than they had earlier in the day. Meanwhile, the group that didn't nap actually performed worse. But the researchers didn't stop there. After everyone got a full night of sleep, they were tested again the next day. And once again, the people who had taken naps still performed better. In other words, rest actually helped our brains consolidate information and maintain performance. And you probably know exactly what this feels like. You've probably had one of those amazing naps where you wake up feeling more energized and creative than before. So the solution isn't that you need to work harder to be more productive. It's that you need rest that actually restores your brain. But understanding the science behind rest is just the first step. To actually benefit from it, we need to change how we approach work. There's also one mistake most creators make when they try to rest that actually makes them feel more guilty and less productive. I'll come back to that in a minute, but first we need to talk about the first technique. The first technique is something called strategic napping. Some creators actually schedule naps before important tasks like recording videos, streaming, or doing intensive editing work. This is because, as we saw from Dr. Mednick's research, short naps can be incredibly effective for restoring mental energy and improving creative thinking. Think of it like hitting a reset button on your brain. Instead of forcing yourself to push through exhaustion, you allow your mind to recharge so you can return with more clarity and focus. And no, I don't mean the 2 or 3-hour naps we take when we're completely exhausted. Ideally, you should aim for a nap that's around 20 to 30 minutes. This length helps you refresh your brain without entering deeper sleep stages that can leave you feeling groggy. Strategic napping helps you restore energy, but it doesn't fix how we structure our work, and that's where the second technique comes in. And this next technique might actually surprise you because it tells you to work less, not more. Most creators will tell you to work non-stop to achieve results, but research into cognitive performance suggests that most people can only sustain intense, focused thinking for a limited amount of time each day. After that point, mental fatigue starts to set in. This is where limiting deep creative work becomes important. Instead of forcing yourself to work endlessly, try limiting yourself to around 4 hours of deep creative work per day. For example, imagine you've been editing for 6 hours and then immediately try to start writing your next script. Your thinking starts to slow down, writing becomes harder, you start rereading the same paragraph 5 times. Instead of forcing yourself to keep going, it can actually be more effective to focus on a smaller window of high-quality work. With these 2 strategies, you might think you figured out the balance between productivity and rest, but there's one last crucial piece of the puzzle. And if you combine these with the final strategy we'll talk about in a minute, you'll have a system that lets you stay productive without constantly burning out. The third technique is something everyone knows they should do, and almost every creator struggles with. You probably even procrastinated this completely necessary daily routine because you wanted to work on content just a little longer. The final strategy is prioritizing sleep. Most adults need somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep each night for optimal cognitive function. But late night editing sessions, streaming schedules, and something known as revenge bedtime procrastination can make it difficult to get enough rest. So if possible, try creating a simple pre-sleep routine that signals to your brain that it's time to wind down. This could include dimming the lights, reading something relaxing, or maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. And honestly, this is the strategy most creators struggle with, but it might actually be the most important one. I know this because I used to struggle with it too. I would stay up late editing or preparing streams, and then the next day, I'd underperform while recording or streaming. But once I started setting a healthier sleep routine and limiting late night streams, everything changed. Within a month, I was posting daily shorts on my old YouTube channel consistently, all because I finally started getting proper rest. So if you want to start getting more meaningful rest today, I want to give you a small challenge. Pick one day of the week where you intentionally do no content or creative work at all. No editing, no brainstorming, no checking analytics, just rest. Block it on your calendar and treat it as seriously as any other commitment. And over time, you might notice something interesting. When you return to your work the next day, you'll have more energy, clearer thinking, and sometimes even new ideas you wouldn't have thought of before. If you enjoyed this video and want to join a community of neurodivergent creators facing the same struggles, my community Discord is linked down below. And if this video helped you understand neurodivergent productivity better, I think you'll really enjoy this one where I talk about how perfectionism can lead to procrastination and the best techniques to overcome it. You can check it out right here. See you in the next video. Bye!